Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the WMR show. I have an absolutely legendary guest on today. Not only have I got to know him a lot over the last year, he's a client of mine, and he has had an unbelievable life up to this point already. Now, as you all know, viewing and listening, I start off this, I don't edify the guest generally. I get the guest to introduce himself. The only thing I'm going to say is like, his name, Mr. Dean Ferris. Welcome to the show, mate. Great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for getting me on, Steve. We've been talking about this podcast for a little while, so it's good we're getting it done. I guess I've got to introduce myself. So my name's Dean Ferris. I'm a kid from northern New South Wales, grew up on a farm. My parents were in the sawmill business. I had plenty of space to ride motorbikes. That became my hobby, my passion. Uh, pretty much my parents told me to dream big when I was younger, and all I could dream about was being a pro motocross racer. And that's what I did. I became a pro motocross racer. Took me all around the world. I traveled 4 years full time racing world championships. I obviously become pro here first before I went that far. But when I returned home from Europe when I was 25 years old, this is 2015. From then till now, I've won 4 Australian motocross championships and have recently retired just 12 months ago. So in a big transition in my life now, and that's how I got to know Steve and come across him.
Yeah, awesome, mate. It's the quickest talk about yourself ever, and I know you have a long list of accomplishments on the journey. We might touch on them after, whether it's relevant, but again, we usually roll just pretty cruisy on the show. We have a conversation, and yeah, we see where it takes us. But again, it's great to have you on, man. Again, I've got to know you really well. Like we've worked on a lot of personal stuff and everything like that, but we were chatting just before this, and you go, "Hey, there's probably some things you don't know about me." So I have an intention for this. I'm going to do my best to get something out of you that I don't know. And again, I haven't said to you, you probably find out something about me. But what I'd love to start with, man, is and what I noticed with you pretty quick. Now, you've had a lot of success in something that like you put a lot of time, energy, effort into over many years. But what I noticed straight away with you is the mindset you have around certain things, around accomplishment, around getting shit done. Um, and it really was a standout for me. And it even changed the trajectory of how I could see you could have this transition and how I could support. Where did you first see on your whole journey that you were like, you had a head on your shoulders that could really accomplish or win or whatever language you want to put around it? When did you notice you had a really good mindset?
I guess probably in 2006, I was like 15, 16 years old. That's the point where I realized I had enough talent to be good. And at the same time, I knew I had something more, uh, but I just couldn't get the talent out. And I knew at this point I need to work on my mindset. So being young, all I did was I just took action, and it got me, it got me results really quick. But I was a bit of a crash bandicoot, so like that means like I could win one race, crash out in another, and I was a bit of a hothead. I'd get pissed pretty easy, carried a lot of emotion. So yeah, I knew I had the mindset to be good, but I just had to harness that somehow. And it was a long journey. It was a long journey to get there, maybe 10 years from that point
Yep.
to really, truly work out my mind. And more to the question, I realized I had something because I knew I had this big desire to win, and I knew it was probably easier to, kind of tame the lion rather than, try to get a sloth to move, I would say. So I knew I was more of the lion, and I would go after it. I just didn't really know how. So at this point, I was like, I knew I could be a winner. I just had to really work on things from that point.
Yeah, awesome. And I love the fact that you shared that it took a long time too, because you knew you had the talent. There's a lot of talented people out there. There's probably a lot of talented people like tuning into this conversation now. But they don't know how to harness it, master it, put it to use or anything because they might have a mindset that's out. They might have a emotional overwhelm or doubts and fears and everything. And it can take a long period of time to be able to implement things to get yourself to a place where you go, actually, now like that's something that supports me in the direction I want to go. A lot of the thing, like I was talking to another client of mine this morning, young Freddie, you know really well. He's a client of yours too.
Yeah.
And the young bloke, and I see it, and that's why it's cool hearing you go back to 15 or 16. I hear it from him, he's 18, is like this eagerness to just get out and get it done and go this. But being able to ground in to him to say, hey, are you committed to the long haul? Because yeah, you might see other people out there that have got the success now, but it took them a lot to get there. Because we often don't recognize that. It's like I use the analogy, you see the golfer on the TV under high pressure in a tournament, you have no idea how many swings he's put in, how many bad rounds he's had, how many changes he's had made, how many little intricate things he's done over a long period of time to get to that one clutch putt to land it. And it's been no different with your journey, yeah? Like that, you mentioned a decade before you had like you're aware of the mindset. Tell me some of the challenges you faced in that decade leading up to then.
Well, I feel like learning the skill of what I was doing, so motocross, was kind of the easy part. Like, if you want to be successful at something, you got to get good at the thing, right? So for motocross, it was like learning how to ride a bike fast. That I worked that out pretty quickly. I've got some help, got some tutoring, and had all the desire in the world. The challenging part was probably finding the right help. So I found the right help to get some good guidance, and I already had a certain amount of talent and I had a lot of drive. That was easy. But finding the help on how to shape my body, how to get fit enough to ride motocross was a challenge. But the biggest challenge was finding help, mindset help, because like it's becoming more normal now that there's coaches around and mindset coaches, and it's becoming you know more accepted that, hey, if you find someone that's got the result that you have, or got the can help you, you can find them now. But back then I didn't really know. So the biggest challenge was just trying to learn how to do it, and also maybe having some wrong guidance, steering you down the wrong path. I feel like even my journey might have been a little bit shorter if I just probably did it on my own, because here's the thing, I did a whole decade, 10 years of just slapping the ground and trying to work it out. But when you got someone in your corner that's probably not the right person, they won't see it for what it really is. So the biggest challenge was actually trying to get the right help at the right time.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Like I wasn't aware. Like my previous career before I became a coach, like I was in earth moving and construction and everything like that, and I was in that for 20 odd years, position of high responsibility, and I just learnt from someone early on how to do a couple of things, and that's sort of the only mentoring I really had. And then I just did the same thing in my job for 20 years. And when I come into this, I wasn't even aware of personal coaches and personal mentors or anything like that. The concept of me in my previous career going out to get help outside of the work, it was not even there. It was I didn't understand. The only coach that I knew of was like a footy coach or a rugby coach. So it's like I like to show it when I'm talking the benefits of having a coach or a mentor, right or wrong. I have plenty of stories to tell around where I've invested in coaches that I've followed through and everything. I don't judge it. And I think my lessons out of all that was like being out of my power or not really knowing who to employ or who to invest in. But just because you had that head on your shoulders, yes, you had the talent, you recognize it, but to go, okay, I want the mentors, in essence, is still a step compared to what a lot of people are doing out there in life right now. They won't get out of their own way to even ask for help, be it wrong or right that they get, and that's a step in itself. But when did you discover the a more aligned mentor? What led you to that?
Look, let's go back to before I found someone that helped me with my mind. Well, actually, my physical trainer, Guy Andrews, he's a three-time Ironman champion, and we just crossed paths, right?
Yep.
So we just started, training together a little bit. He was running like a CrossFit thing at the time. And then I was like, wow, like first session learnt so much at the same time, because like I'm probably pretty good at asking stories, and Guy's really good at storytelling. And that's how I find that I learned. And subconsciously I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. I showed up the next day, and I showed up the next day. And then at the end of the week, I went to pay Guy for all the sessions we did. He goes, oh, you know what? Don't worry about it. I've been looking for someone that would want to train with me full time. So talking about finding someone that was aligned, this was the guy. His name's Guy Andrews, and he's 20 years older than me. I realized he had a wealth of experience, and it was so far beyond what I knew at the time that it just rocked my world. So I was like, I need to be around this fella. And he took me in under his wing, and we're still really good mates to this day. And this is almost 15 years on. So yeah, that was the first aligned mentorship that I really, really did have.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so good that you had that. And it's like, again, when I made a big career shift and everything like that, a bit different, but some of the stuff early on blew my mind too, because I'd been in my own zone and I'd mastered all this and all this sort of stuff. But then, like, some of the concepts that were thrown at me from the people that had the success I wanted or
Mm.
something similar, it was like, holy shit. And it was confronting but exciting. And that's what I found.
And what I wanted to say about Guy was like he's not a motocrosser, so Ironman, he was surf ski Ironman, but
Yeah,
I found so many of the lessons correlated, across any sport. So he couldn't teach me how to ride a bike, but the mindset that went with it, just in everyday storytelling, man, I still I took a lot out of that. He wouldn't even realize, but or maybe he did. I don't know. But we'll just be chatting while we're cycling for like 4 hours. You know what I mean? I'll be like, wow, that one thing he said really stuck with me. And then so I did start to get a fair bit of mindset from him, and it aligned because he was an Australian champion in a different discipline, but it was in sports.
yeah.
So not only did he learn how to, help me train my body, like that's where it really, really started. And I realized at that point, I'm like, okay, the winners actually think different. They absolutely do. And look, he was a champion in the 80s, and he probably did it the hard way. Like there was probably no help back then. Like his dad was a trainer, pretty good and reputable. But I mean, trying to learn how to win when the sport just evolved from nowhere, like I think we're all pretty lucky now that we can find help easier, because a lot of these sports are brand new. A lot of these industries that people going into are brand new. But there's people there that have kind of done it before.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You would say a bit of a trailblazer guy would have been then in that regard. I love the fact that you're because a lot of the time we can have goals in a certain career, business, sport, or something, and we can keep in a way and go, oh, I need a mentor that's in that realm only. But I love the fact that early on you've got someone who's not even in that realm, but you could apply what they were saying into yours. I'm the same, man. Yeah, ask me about motocross stuff. I've got a sort of an idea, but I don't know that much. I really don't. Fun fact you probably don't know about me. I actually built a good motocross track in the early 2000s down in Bacchus Marsh in Victoria.
Oh yeah.
One of the most difficult things I've ever had to do on a digger. But anyway,
Was that? Hang on, was that the club track at Bacchus Marsh or not?
yeah,
Yeah, I've ridden there.
yeah, that was. I thought I was going to be great at it because I really looked at myself as like a gun operator. Oh man, that challenged me. That was
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, firstly you're digging hard red dirt down there, and then secondly, like that things need to be kind of a certain shape in a certain way.
down to the millimeter, some of it, and I was just mind blown because I'd lived in a world where, yeah, laying pipes and everything like that, we needed to be the millimeter, but we had lasers and all this. But when you're crafting like different jumps and all these different things and the angles and
Yeah, you had to sight it by eye, really.
man, and the compaction and but that's where I learned a bunch about motocross, like that experience. And I learned I'm never going to build another track again. But anyway, back to it. Like I actually see it as a massive advantage from where I sit now, and I've really been branching into high performance and sports and that like that too, even though I don't do it. But I love it. I love all the high performance stuff, and like I think it's an edge. Like there's plenty I'll use the golfers again. There's plenty of professional golfers out there that their mentors are nothing to do with golf.
Hmm.
Tennis players, same thing. I remember seeing it early on in my coaching days that Tony Robbins was coaching Andre Agassi. Like Tony Robbins, I can't imagine that big dude on a tennis court. Like it'd be scary. Like,
Yeah.
"Rah!" But I love the fact that you got someone like Guy in your corner early on, and I think that sort of probably was one thing that gave you an edge. Is that how you seen it?
Yeah, 100%. Because look, I gained confidence because I got so fit, but that was probably only half of it. the other half was knowing that I've got a champion in my corner. Honestly,
Yeah, cool.
it was awesome because, like, you know, my first championship day, pretty much all of my championships here in Australia, Guy was there.
Yeah.
And I think he just knew that he could have brought something to the table for me, whether it was just to, you know, someone to bounce an idea off. You know, he was there for my last one, and I really needed his help, and he gave me a really good perspective because it was, you know, going down to the last moto, I couldn't work out what to do, how to do it, and Guy was like, "Mate, it's this," and just made it really clear cut for me. And I was so grateful that he was there for that as well. And then also, I wanted to mention my osteopath that he still operates out of Burleigh. Really clever guy named Adam Thomas. And I met him a bit over 10 years ago, and he was my osteo, but I also used to go there for pretty much he wanted to maintain my body. Well, I wanted him to maintain my body, but I was getting so much mindset from him. He was just a really wise guy, and I never knew why, because he was too modest to tell me until years and years and years in, actually only a couple of years ago, that he's a 2-time world champion in mixed martial arts. Like juniors, but like, you know, 18 years old, or just maybe under 18s and under 14s. And I couldn't believe he didn't tell me, but I knew I got so much from this fella, and I kept him really close. And he was also there on championship day. Him and Guy, pretty, you know, good mates. They meet up at the track, and they, you know, a similar mindset. So yeah, someone else that was nothing to do with the industry. And I didn't even know why at the time. I didn't need his resume, but I knew I was getting a lot of help from that fella as well.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, well, we've got a guy in Burleigh as well, crazy, Steve Katz. Like, we go to see him for like my body stuff and maintenance and all that, but he's there guiding through emotional stuff, personal stuff, mindset stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just by default, we've got another, like Chi and I, we've got another mentor in our corner. And I feel like this is the perception of a lot of people out there, whether it is they want to find that edge or they want to get up. I feel like so many people keep themselves in a box, and they're closed off from that. It's like, okay, all right, I want to be good at motocross. I need the best motocross person. Yeah, it can help as a coach or whatever, but that's it. Where in essence, they've probably got support or mentors around them. They're just not available for it.
Yeah, it's a catch-22, because I'm a big believer in find the person that's done what you've done,
Yeah.
or someone you'd trade places with. So
Me too. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that, 100%. The thing is, in like probably every industry, but in motocross, I know there's a lot of people out there that are trying to help, and they actually believe they're, you know, really bringing value, but probably shouldn't be doing that thing, or they're just really good at, you know, convincing people. So there's it's a double-edged sword, if you ask me. Like, yeah, if you can find someone that's actually done what you've done and can mentor you, and you align, because not everyone aligns, I don't believe, as well. You could be a 10-time world champion, and if you don't align, it's pretty hard to work together. What's your thoughts on that?
No, this is a really good conversation. I love it. And again, it comes down to like where I love the fact that I'm really branching out into these sorts of areas too, where I haven't got the success and not a champion and that sort of stuff. But I don't have the emotional connection because I've actually got success in that place where you say that some don't align. Well, some champions have got their way, but then they go into the corner of someone else to mentor, and that person they're working with is totally different. They operate different, they function different.
Yeah.
So even though they've had the success, they've got the embodiment, which is so important. Absolutely, the energetic embodiment. They know how to get it done. They know how to get it done more than once. Embodiment, that's great, but then they might be trying to mentor on all these other things, but they're working with a totally different client. And I see this a bit. They can get stuck in their way. Well, this is the only way to do it, and wonder why the client doesn't get results. So I think that's the alignment piece.
Yep.
And I can see this develop too. I think where I'm not going to say outsiders, because again, it's not a new concept. It's like having an outsider come in to work on stuff where there's no emotional connection to that, but they're a genius in their own zone, and they can see things. I think from like me to you, I can see things with you that you probably wouldn't have got from someone who was mentoring you that was in the game.
Yeah, 100%. I know, we've been working together for a while now, and you've mentioned like, hey, this has turned out way different than I thought. Working together, you've had to like really adjust what you initially started with just to adapt to me. And I think the benefit of having an outsider and someone that's not emotionally attached to the industry or the thing, whatever it is, where you're right. I know like certain people within a certain industry would be like, this is the way you got it done. But and you'd need to find someone to align, right, for that to work. But if you can find a coach that's pliable, and can work with you and see it, everyone is a little different. And I know I'm way different to the next competitor in motocross, 100%. And I know for employers that I've had in motocross and teams and stuff, really didn't really know how to work with me. And I know I was different, but I was going after it. I was getting the thing. Often it worked. Sometimes didn't work with the employer. There's so many details going into it, but working with someone outside the industry has helped. And I had this one time. So my first time getting like mindset coaching was 10 years ago in Europe. And I pretty much got sent there. Like, I didn't know I needed mindset at this point, other than, I'll take what Guy says. I'll take whatever useful information's around me, which wasn't much. And I went to it was a sports, psychologist, but we'll use that word loosely. But he helped the Belgium Olympic team.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I learned there was actually amazing. And same like you, he wasn't attached to any emotion that I had, wasn't attached to the sport, but he gave me some really useful tools. And that was, the real start of my mindset journey was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's so good. And I'm glad you mentioned like
I hope I made sense then. I felt like I went on a tangent and I was sideways
perfect,
but yeah,
man. It's all good. It's all good. It's all right. We'll clip it up and share it on the socials, and people will get the clips anyway. It doesn't matter if it fully makes sense.
Yeah. That was a big tangent, but I'm trying to explain what I mean.
Anyway, no, it's great that you mentioned the tools, because I'm big on that. As you know, I've got all these different tools that some clients need, some don't. Like one of the tools that we've worked with is like, you got me as a tool. It is like to have someone in your corner that's not attached, that has some perspective, definitely a skill set and everything like that, can be one of our greatest tools that we can use and turn to. And especially the concept of tools for us men, we like working with things. We like working with tools. Some of the tools that I know I work with predominantly in my own life, like pressure situations or not, is like simple stuff that you can go to that disrupts a pattern. Like it might be just stepping out for a minute, but actually doing something like a simple breathwork technique or a vagus nerve reset or whatever, something simple. I want to just relay that over to you, like on things like, I don't think there's much more pressure than a motocross race. It's high intense, high alertness, a lot.
No risk.
It's the extreme of fight or flight in your nervous system in a healthy way. You've got to be on point.
Yeah.
What were some of the tools that you needed to learn to stay like on, like focused and everything? Like, was there any little ones that you brought in that you needed to practice?
Yeah, so there was actually. So Adam Thomas, my mentor, that's the osteo as well, that I just mentioned, he brought in some tools for me, and it was around breathing actually. And to give you an example, on my first championship day, the penultimate round, which was at Toowoomba, he could see, like, we'd known each other for a couple of years at this point, and he could see I was really elated, not elated, sorry, but like really worked up, really worked up. And he explained to me that there's a performance window, if you can just imagine it like that. He goes, you operate in this window, and he goes, if you're above that, you know what I mean? You're really emotional, and that's where I was at.
Yeah.
So he used some breathing techniques, and we sat in the back of the truck in a quiet place, made it dark, and it was only like a few minutes of breathing. He guided the thing, and it just pretty much reset my nervous system. Yeah. And this was after practice qualifying in the morning, and I was so worked up, and then I just went out and had an awesome day, and it's really what I needed, because I was like, my first championship coming down to the wire. Like, I needed every last little point to claw back to that championship. So that's one of the tools that I worked with when I started working with Adam.
Yeah, it's one of the things, and I think a lot of people downplay it. They see these cool fads now. Breathwork's a cool fad and all that sort of stuff at the moment, and it's like, oh, I did breathwork for this and that. But these simple little tools that we can bring in to disrupt the pattern, meaning the pattern for you then was how you described it, going outside of the performance window. So you were really activated and probably in a lot of emotional overwhelm. You can't perform very good when you're like that. True? You can't.
No, no, 100%, 100%. And you know what? Oh man, I wish I had that tool earlier on in my career, because that was my biggest downfall, was
Yeah.
like getting all worked up over something like really quickly. I'm a pretty highly strung guy, bit of a straight edge, but yeah, the amount of times I crashed up the track or made a mistake or threw it away, I can't even. I'd need like a whole notepad to write it down. The amount of times I messed up from that place where I was above and outside my performance window. So the moment I learnt that, I was like, wow, I've got a new tool. And he wasn't always, there. He's got his own life. And there was a few times I had to definitely pull that out of my pocket,
Yeah.
go sit in the back of the van or whatever and work on it. And I was able to just bring myself to where I needed to be from that moment on. Honestly, my career really took off
Yeah.
after learning that thing. And on the other spectrum, there was only one time in my career where I actually fell below the performance window, and I was so relaxed. I felt like I was going to go to sleep. And thankfully, Adam was there on that day as well. It's when I'd already wrapped up a championship, but I was still going out to race, and I'd lost all of my purpose.
Yeah.
And I was like, Adam, hey, I know we've worked with me to get down before, but like I'm going to sleep now. I'm supposed to be going to the line in 5 minutes, man. I'm like, have you got a technique? We worked on a technique, got me going through breath as well, through some purpose while he was talking to me. And it only took 5 minutes again. And man, I just went out and had one of my all-time greatest races like ever after that as well. So, and I know without that help, without that tool, I might have just flaked it in. I didn't know what I was there for anymore at that point. So
Yeah, I love this because it's like it's at the core of like how I like present tools to clients that need them. It's like so many again, like I work with a lot of men who are in high responsibility positions, business owners, CEOs, bosses, these sorts of things. And again, branching out more into sport and everything like this, it's like these tools, they can be really simple, but used at the right time, they can make the biggest difference to the outcomes ever. They can.
mm,
And again, I'm huge on practice. I'm huge on repetition. I'm huge on preparation and all these sorts of things. You mentioned young Fred earlier. Big part of what I'm doing with him, like he's got the talent, and he's got the talent, but it's like he goes out of that performance window because there's no regulation there. So I've been teaching him all these tools instead of it being a reactive thing come race day or when the results not there. It's like teaching his body and his system to get prepared for that before. That's what I'm huge on with anyone. And I
mm,
I see I still see a huge gap, not just in I'm seeing it in motocross already, but I'm seeing it in like other sporting places that it's some of this stuff, it's not safe for the big guys, but it's like the guys who've got success, they're looking for the edge. And it's the mindset. You were looking like whatever it is, and you had the people in your corner to do that. A lot of people out there now are doing okay. I would love them to really understand that these little things that you can bring into your life can give you the edge now to go from okay, or I call it mediocre, to actually start to accomplish stuff. So you're not waiting till you're like the top of the game to then bring in the best coaches or the new secret thing. There's nothing secret about any of it. And again, I'm a huge proponent of breath work. I am, and emotional regulation. That's at the core
mm.
of everything I do. So I love hearing that. It's good. Fast forward then. Let's get out of the motocross for a few minutes, if we can. I mean, we could probably talk about it for ages.
Oh, I could. I got 20 years of stuff to talk about.
100%.
But
And
all
I
right,
know,
hit
yeah.
me. What do you got? We're going to try to talk about nothing motocross. This will be a challenge.
Well, I'm not going to just take it nothing motocross. It's still relative. It's
Yeah.
all relative. You mentioned like early on, you're like, yeah, motocross now in terms of racing and all that sort of stuff, but you're still active in there. And I've seen personally firsthand where you've been in this transition place where asking a lot of different questions, really looking outside of the box and all this sort of thing. Um, what has been the thing that's like, what was the question? I had the question when I was saying, let's get out of motocross.
Hey, I
What
wanted
is
to
the
ask you a
one?
question, Steve.
Oh,
Because
okay. All
well,
right.
well, I've got a fair idea of what I think, you know, because I love talking about success.
Yep.
And you've worked with people um, to bring out their success. But what would be the number one thing, the number one trait or thing that you see that would actually pretty much guarantee their success if they had it, and then got help by someone like yourself?
I, I don't know if there's a guarantee to success, but if there's one key element or a theme across people that I've seen that have gone from like not even just with me. I think it's a human thing. Gone from mediocre, but they want more success and they want success, is they've got to have curiosity and a willingness to learn
Yep.
at any level. At any level. Even yourself, you got lots of success. You could teach and coach me on a bunch of stuff, but you've got this curiosity and this willingness to learn and grow. If they've got that one key element, already their intent is there, already they're going to make big improvement.
Yeah, I would agree. I was going to use the word interested, but curious is pretty much the same in this context.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with a bunch of people or been around a lot of people riding in motocross and in sport and even success in, you know, around motocross. There's heaps of different kind of industry personnel, but the one thing I've seen is like if they're interested and willingness to learn, like that is when they will go really far. And I've seen a lot of people, a lot of kids that are not that interested, and you know the parents might want them to be more interested than they are, but they're not. Things like that,
Yeah.
and without their own interest and them liking it, I feel like it's a pretty steep hill and one that not many people get over. So, do you reckon that's about the same? Like,
I like it. We could go a whole other podcast on the parents trying to live out their dreams through their kids.
yeah,
Because there's an element of that. There's nothing wrong with that, but
yeah,
we see it a lot. Um, but one of the things when, even before people work with me, sometimes a lot of the time I come to them, I'm tuning in. They might come to me and they might be in a business. They might be in an online business, so to say. The amount of people that come to me where I actually discover through some questions that they're not actually interested in that online business, or they don't know why they're in there and they wonder why they can't get the results because there's no energy for it. They
yeah,
go, oh, I want the money. I'm like, that's a great thing. But when I show them that so many things are out of alignment, first they go into a meltdown. But it's like, then we go and especially men, I'm like, let's discover what actually has your interest. What are you curious about? Or what would you like to like get into more? What lights you up more? What
mm,
used to light you up and everything like this? It is a key element in, right? It doesn't have to be sport. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be just a simple living a happy life. So many people are out there right now, and I know that tuning to this are probably thinking their life sucks right now. You got to get curious, like, okay, how can I bring something in that lights this up? Like, how can I like people lacking direction? Cool. What's your North Star? You need something that lights you up now to have any direction.
yeah. And also, what I've noticed as well, people that become successful is that man, they're willing to deal with the challenges because no matter what you're going for, there's going to be challenges. So, I know I come across a saying, and it's so true. It's like if you want to go somewhere, like pretty much look for how much challenge you want to have. It's along those lines. I'm butchering it a little bit, but you know, like choose your devil or something like that.
I butcher them too, don't worry. But I think everyone knows what you're talking about. And here's the thing. I'll talk through the perspective of us as men. We're stimulated by a challenge. We are. We're wired as solution focused. So we need challenges in our life that drives us. Without the curiosity piece part or the alignment piece, generally we'll find ourselves stuck and then going the other way. But
Mm,
challenges are a part of the journey because if you want to get to, oh, I'll give you the example, you in motocross, before you became a champion, your identity was, well, I'm a motocross racer. But when you became, I am a champion motocross racer, I can guarantee you had to overcome some big challenges. Inner, because you know the identity stuff, but on the outer too, the actions you're taking, the letdowns, the problems you have to overcome and everything like that. It's the key part of the journey. and anyone's journey from I am this to I am that.
Yep.
And I feel like I always say to it doesn't even have to be clients if I'm speaking at events or anything like that, or even just in conversation if I'm networking in that. It's like people get caught up in this. They want these big goals and they've got these dreams, but they're like, oh, but I keep getting challenged. I keep getting challenged. And I say, well, how's this? You've sat down, you've done your goal setting or your journaling or whatever, and you're really clear on what you want. And you get a knock on the door and it's finally arrived. There's a big present out there. It's got the big bow, and you're like all excited and you open the box, and inside is another challenge. So many people give up at that point where, in essence, that challenge, that gift, is the thing they need to overcome to then have their ultimate desires or their dreams manifest. But so many people get up because, oh, it's a challenge. And then they're happy with the mediocre.
Yeah, 100%. I know along my journey the challenges just kept coming. And once I accepted that the challenges are just going to keep coming, then I really started thriving. See, I know when I was younger, I kind of got sold the idea that I'm just like one step away. And I see a lot of people do this in the industry that are, trying to help out, but they haven't really been there. And they just keep convincing people that they're one step away. But the moment I realized that I'm not even close to where I want to be, I started just getting the challenges, working through it, challenge, work through it, rather than just being like, fuck, it's another challenge. God damn it, put my head in the sand and then just not deal with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, once I embraced it, man, it actually changed my life. And
Yeah.
then I seen it as a blessing that I got this challenge, and I deal with it and deal with it and deal with it. And then to go back a little bit, I know that, man, the biggest challenge for me was becoming champion. For whatever reason, it took so long. It was unbelievable. It was like 10 years of heartache. And I only just scraped through to be champion. It was like everything. It was everything I had. And, that's what you want to give. But I just scraped through, become champion. And, there's misconceptions out there. There's people that just say, oh, like you can win one, but it's way harder to win the second one. But there was a couple of champions in my corner, like Guy, that said, hey, if you do it right, your life will change. And that statement's bullshit. And honestly, I took that statement rather than the first one, and I just run with it, mate. My life took off.
Yeah.
I'd worked it out. I knew how I had to be. My identity shifted from I'm going to be champion to like I am champion, and I knew it. And I just run with it, mate. And I took on the challenges along the way. It's just they were different challenges. And from that moment on, my career really prospered. I just took off and just had a really good run for a really long time. And it was it was really cool. Just that identity shift, what it did for me.
Yeah, and at the core of most of my work, it's that whole identity, what we believe about ourselves, and when we can give ourselves a tangible result, like we can do all the mindset work and project out and visualize like having achieved the goals and everything, but until we can actually experience it and actually have that identity shift that we recognize, again, from I am a motocross rider, I am champion, then the story you've cultivated is like, you know what, this is a story I'm telling myself about this now, what I believe about myself now, then the rest is history because you just ran with it.
Yep.
Again, can be easy to take on another story. Oh, it was luck. I'm just lucky or whatever. And you might have stayed stuck on one championship, but you took it to another level. It's such an important thing. And again, the identity piece that, again, it is at the core of everything I take all my clients through because they are where they are right now because they believe certain things about the world, but more importantly about themselves. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving of success. When you get that tangible and you've done the work and you've pushed and you've overcome the challenges, again, a quality I know you've got is resilience. Absolutely. Commitment, absolutely. Discipline, absolutely. When you put these into practice over time and you finally get that, it can just, you're a great example of it's like, well, okay, cool. I've overcome this so much now. Bring on the challenges. Because if I've endured this for so long and I've stuck at it and I've finally got the result, fuck, I'll take everything else in my stride.
Yep.
Again, you're such a good example of that, man. And it's it. Then things I've mentioned, their values or virtues, I definitely have, and I'd love more men out there, especially to take them on board. The discipline one, like discipline. discipline for a long period of time. The amount of times I see people getting on social media, I've set this goal, this health goal or whatever, and they might get close to it, but the next minute you look at them down the track and they're like back where they were going to be because they don't have the discipline to stay at it beyond the first step, beyond the second step, beyond the first championship.
Yeah, that's right. And like I learned pretty early on, and I actually just put up on my story on Instagram this morning. I just went through my camera roll, hit a video, put it up, and it was just a video of me training at home by myself, like I did every other day. It was like a 10-second clip on the only one riding, where like I chose to do that. I chose to ride on my own because I was disciplined, and I felt like sometimes one was company, two was a crowd. And like honestly, I was just getting work done every single day. Nothing ever got in the way when I did it on my own.
Yep.
And we sometimes get up in the morning, Steve, and we do our call at 6 o'clock because we know nothing's going to get in the way. That's discipline. You know what I mean? And look, I embody this always, and I always made sure I set boundaries. I set and this is something that we're going over now, Steve, I know, because I'm kind of like floating in the wind a little bit. But with motocross and how I got the work done was I set boundaries, I set a program, I stuck to it, and I went year on year on year without missing a training day or a training session, because I would just get up first thing in the morning. If it was an off-bike training, get it done 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and it's done. And then I could have a social life if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Same with the motocross, with the riding, with everything. I was so invested in it that I was like, nothing's going to get in my way. And I just know how much confidence I built through that. Like when I went to the race, I was like, I know no one else, could outwork me. So I knew I was on the line. If anyone else has dropped one session, they're going to know about it now. And I took confidence in that, knowing that no stone was left unturned, and I had no doubt in my mind if there was ever a challenging race, I knew that I was worthy of winning that race as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's such a great example, like a real life example of like, see, discipline's the thing that gets you to competence. Repetition and being disciplined without the result gets you to competence. From competence to confidence, you got to stay disciplined, and that discipline's going to start providing results. When you can see tangible results, you go from competent, I'm doing this thing over and over, and like, oh, okay, I can see progress. I'm starting to get confidence. I'm building confidence. Discipline's just the key element. And for so many people out there, they won't stay disciplined because they don't get along enough to give themselves the evidence that they're actually competent in something. To build the confidence, once you got confidence, man, the story you're telling yourself, like what you were outlaying then, you just had this really empowering story you were telling yourself because you knew that discipline prepared you for whatever came up on race days versus get to race day and be reactive. This didn't work. Oh shit, what do I need to change? And like, yeah, you can make changes, but it wasn't reactive only. It's like, well, based on my data and my feedback from my competence, the discipline over a long period of time, I see this. Okay, cool. That was just something that happened versus getting emotionally reactive and like making drastic changes and you're not making any progress.
This is actually why I believe that you really need to be interested in what you're doing,
Yeah.
because you need to be disciplined sometimes for a very, very long time before you get to the place that you're going. You can see progress before then for sure. But like, for instance, for me, it was like 10 years before I got to the place where I wanted to be. It took 10 years. And I know it lasted that long because I was so interested in what I was doing that the resilience kind of come with it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. And I talk through the lens of values, what's important to us. It's like there's sometimes in life where we don't want to get up in the morning. We've got shit going on. We've got relationship stuff, we've got kid stuff, we've got team stuff, or whatever going on, or we're like, we might be crook. Who knows? We've got stuff without having that this is important to me piece and being connected to that, it could be easy to give up or half-ass it and not be disciplined. And again, if people want to know what the edge is between becoming mediocre or hitting the top of your game, it's what we're talking about right now. It might sound simple, but it's like, this is the key. This is the edge. This is the difference. The Michael Jordan story. Everyone sees the outline, but he talks about the amount of missed shots he had and the amount of practice he did and all that to get to that one game where you've seen the result. Where he's like, people don't see that, but a lot of people out there right now that are probably sitting in listening or watching this, they're not willing to be disciplined without the result. They're not willing to go, hey, I am that interested in this or I value this. I'm going to stick at it no matter what.
Yeah, 100%. And how much better do you feel when you just get up and do the thing when you don't feel like doing it? You know what I mean? Like you've got whatever going on in your life, and your reason might be valid to not get the thing done, but when you get it done, man, you feel better, and you deal with that challenge better as well. When you just go do it, you keep taking action, doing the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know, like a lot of people don't see the heartache that goes into it, the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And you know, same for my story. And it was just me. I'm the only one that truly knows what went into it.
Yeah.
Some people got, you know, like my wife Renee, got to see a fair bit of it. She was there for a lot of the days. But yeah, it's no matter what, if you get good at something, like if you guys are listening and you aspire to be someone, don't ever think that they're lucky at all, ever, because just know that they've gone through hell to get there, or a lot of challenge. You know what I mean? They don't think they've had it easy. They've faced the challenges, they've faced the devil, and they've just stuck with it and they've got there. It's just that a lot of people, or a lot of us, don't see the stories, you know, or see the training. Like Michael Jordan, we can't even imagine how long that guy was in like training for, all day, every day. And we get to see him win an NBA championship. We're like, oh, sweet. Wouldn't that be nice to be him? It's like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
he's been through a lot to get there.
100%, man. And again, you're a good example of this, getting to know you well over the journey and that. And like, it can easily skip forward to the end of your career and go, I've had this big career and these championships and done all these great things. But the one thing you are is connected to the hard work you put in to get there. And I love the fact that we've chatted today about like mentors and having someone in our corner and stuff like that, because in my opinion, I know I'm in that game and that's my career, but it is a shortcut. There's no shortcuts on the work. But if you want to like get out of your own way, get someone in your corner. Like the sooner you can do that, that is going to help you in some regard. It's going to help you step forward, someone who's got success in the same field you're in, something similar. Like it could be even the fitness thing. Like I know you value fitness, so do I massively. Well, I wouldn't have learned what I know around my body and that if I didn't have someone in my corner telling me, because I didn't know shit. Because what you
Yeah,
don't know, you don't
100%.
know.
If you don't know and someone can help you, reach out to them. Like
Man,
100%, you will shortcut. You know, you cut time in half, or even more. You know what I mean? You might not ever know what that person can teach you.
100%. Yeah, no, it's such a good thing, man. There's so much value in this. I know you've got to jump off. Gee, we might even have to do a part two down the track. Because I do know what my question was before now. It was about this transition-y time, but I feel there's a whole other conversation to have around that. But I do know in that period, it feels like you've really landed in this transition on like what's next. But again, I
Yeah,
think
well, I'm happy to do a part two. Why not? Let's go. There's so
I
many things I
reckon,
feel
man.
like we can talk about.
Yeah, 100%. But I love the fact that we finally got on how to chat, mate. It's been a great to witness your journey so far and hear more about. Yeah, like behind the scenes and a bit of your past and like some of the key elements that you've had to really land with. And I know that the listeners and viewers are going to get a lot out of this. I know you've got a big following, man, and a lot of people still tune into your journey and everything. And I'm excited to see where this goes for you too, mate. But just
Yeah.
thanks for coming on today, mate, and sharing a bit of the behind the scenes and stuff. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. All right. Look forward to part two, and look forward to our next call later in the week.
Awesome, mate. Everybody, please go check out Dean on the socials, flick him a message, let him know what was there. Put a comment below here. Share this with anyone that needs to know. Again, it's great when we have people on here that are you could say are in the public realm a lot with some success and to get to know what actually goes on behind the scenes. So check it out, subscribe, like all the things, and see you all in the next episode. Thank you.
See you guys.